Bismillah Rahman Rahim. My dear student, I hope that you will be all right. So, this is the first recorded lecture of the first mid course. I have already uploaded a very short introductory lecture that how we will cover the remaining course, the post mid course. I have already shared the information of the contents which we will be cover in these recorded lectures. So there are two delivery mode. One is the asynchronous mode and the other one is the synchronous mode. In asynchronous mode, I will record some lecture for you. I will discuss different examples related to the specific topics which we will cover in this course, and in the synchronous mode I will arrange a live session in which I will discuss different thing with you. If you have some queries, then we will discuss. So if you find something difficult in these lectures, in these recorded lecture, then you need to note those problems you need to discuss in this interactive session. So we already create a WhatsApp group, so we can easily solve those things with a mutual understanding. So the today topic is the transportation problems, transportation management, in which we will cover. In the transportation management, we will cover different supply chain models, some specific transportation models, some assignment model, some transshipment model. So before going to that, I just want to to tell you about the where the evolution of transportation problem start. Who first time originally developed the transportation problem? So the history is not too old. The basic transportation problem was basically developed by F.L. Hitchcock in 1941. One of his very famous study, the distribution of a product from several sources to numerous locations. So one thing which we already discussed in the production management, in the introduction of production management. So we already define operation and production management, the transformation of input into output. So while we producing something, so we need resources, we need raw material. Okay, when we manufacture the item, when we produce item, then we need to transform to the end user, to the customer. So basically transportation problem need both in the input transportation and both in the output transformation. So in the optimization problem, until now we covered that the main objective optimization problem to find out a feasible region where we can maximize our profit and where we can minimize our cost. So every organization, this is the main objective of every organization, how to maximize their profit and how to minimize the transportation cost, how to minimize the energy cost, how to minimize the warehousing cost. So in this specific lecture, I will discuss the transportation problem, the transportation model, in order to find out a feasible solution to minimize the transportation cost. So transportation problem is a special type of linear programming problem. So we have already covered 4 to 5 lecture related to linear programming. We have already studied different techniques. The simple one is the graphical approach. The other one is the simplex approach, simplex tabular method. We have already covered dual simplex method, sensitivity analysis. If the prices increase, what will be the impact on our production, what will be the impact on the transportation cost, what will be the impact on the warehousing cost, etc., etc. So basically in transportation problem, when we producing goods or services, we want to transport those goods from one location to another location. So basically in the transportation problem, in which products, goods are transported from a set of sources to a set of destination. So for example, if we producing at this location, then and let's suppose we producing in Islamabad, then how we will transport those items to Karachi and other cities, how we will transport that, and what will be the most feasible way. So in transportation, we have different types of transportation. Pipeline transportation, which is normally used for oil supply. Goods transportation, so for goods transportation, normally we use truck, normally we use train, sometimes we use cargo ship, sometimes we use by air, sometimes we ship those. So in which products, goods and are transported from a set of sources to a set of distribution subject to supply and demand of the sources and destination. So this is very, very important, supply and demand, because we can't supply too much product, because we also need to have a look to the demand. Let's suppose in a specific location demand is 40 items they are looking for, so we need to supply only 40 items. If we supply 50 items, then after transporting 50 items, 10 will be still remaining. So what we will do with those 40 items? So we need to make it balance for an equilibrium economic position. Supply will be equal to demand. You can also see from the screen we have some sources. So mean sources, where is your plant, where is your warehouse, where you manufacturing, where is your raw material, and who one is your suppliers. Destination means sometimes you transport different product to specific destination. For example, Pakistan Tobacco Company transport, they need some input of tobacco. So from different location they transport the tobacco. Then when they manufacture the cigarette, then they transport it to different location, to Karachi, to Islamabad, to Peshawar, to Mardan, etc., etc. Basically they transport finished product. Sometimes we also providing services, or sometimes we producing goods. And the main objective in this whole transportation problem, the main objective is to minimize the total cost, because if we produce some product with a minimum cost, but if the transportation cost is very high, so automatically the total cost is equal to fixed cost plus variable cost will be definitely increased. So mean the main objective of every organization is to minimize the total cost. Okay, so now the question arises, why we need to study transportation problem? We can only use in the uh, production management? No, we can use transportation problem everywhere, in supply chain management, in procurement management, in risk management, in order to minimize the risk. Which type of transportation source we need to use? So we apply transportation problem in most of the uh, transporting situation. For example, minimize shipping cost, determine low cost location. Which transportation source will be the most feasible one? Air, ship, road, railway, or pipeline. So find minimum cost production schedule. Okay. Now we also need to have a look in project management. That means which transportation source will be the most feasible one, which will be the feasible one in term of time, which one will be the feasible in term of cost, which one will be the feasible in term of resources. Normally in the military distribution system, they also use transportation problem. During mean World War, basically the concept of transportation problem developed first time in the after during the Second World War. So mean how they will transport a specific amount to a specific place in a minimum time and with a minimum cost. So now there are two most important things. One is time and the other is cost. So we can use transportation problem everywhere. So normally there are two types of transportation problem. Two types of transportation. One is balanced transportation problem and the other one is unbalanced transportation problem. And both these types have some consequences. If your supply is equal to demand, for example, I am producing 100 chair in my factory, and the demand of my chair is 100. So mean in this case my demand and supply is equal. Mean what they're demanding, I am just producing that and I'm transporting that cheers to them. So in this case, supply is equal to demand. So this is very good for a specific economy. Unbalanced transportation problem, where total supply is not equal to the total demand. For example, if you're producing too much and if the demand is not too much, then in that case, what you will do with the remaining product? Because cost will be incurred on it. What you will do with it? So if you supply less, but there is too much demand, so maybe another one enter into the market, another your rival enter into the market, maybe they will fulfill the demand of those customers. So in this case you also going to the losses. So in the transportation problem we also need to think about these two types, how to manage these two types, how to conduct a sensitivity analysis, how many product we need to produce, how many we need to transport, much we need to put it in the warehouse. So later on I will discuss with simple example that how to conduct a sensitivity analysis if we in such like uncertain situation create, then how we will find out a specific feasible solution. So the transportation model has two kind of constraint. One is less than capacity constraint and the other one is the greater than demand constraint. So normally in mathematics, if the demand is equal to supply, we use the sign equal. If total capacity equal total demand, mean in this case capacity means supply. If total supply is equal to total demand, both capacity and demand constraint will be equal. But if capacity exceed demand, if your supply exceeds the demand, then the capacity constraint are we will mathematically denote with greater than or equal to, and the demand constraint will be less than or equal to. Because when supply is greater than, then supply will be greater than or equal to demand. If demand is less than or equal to supply, so we will write less than or equal to. If demand exceed capacity, the capacity constraint are less than or equal to and the demand constraint are greater than or equal to. So these are the mathematical notation which we will be using while formulating our linear programming model. So you need to think about these equality signs, because if you put instead of greater than or equal to, you put less than or equal to, then your problem will be totally changed. If you put greater than or equal to instead of less than or equal to, then in that case once again it will be changed. So we need to use the application of science within a right way in order to formulate, in order to analyze the model, in order to find out the solution. So this is just a general linear programming model. So we have already discussed these linear programming model. In linear programming model, we have one objective. What kind of objective? Sometimes we maximize the cost, maximize the profit, or we minimize the cost. So you can see from this minimum upward. So this is a minimization problem, minimization linear programming model. Summation I is equal to 1 to m, summation j is equal to, so I represent, let's suppose supply, j represent, let's suppose demand, r, for example I represent the location where we producing product, and j represent the demand where the demand exists for your product. So in this case we want to minimize Cij is basically just like revenue is equal to price into quantity. Revenue is equal to price into quantity. So mean, for example, this Cij will be what? For example, if I am producing two type of things, two type of products, chairs and table. Let's suppose the chair price is, when I sell it in the market, the chair price is 10. So 10 multiply with x, let's suppose x1 represent chair. So when I sell 1 unit, so this will be 8 multiply with 1, I will get 8 rupees. If we sell 2, x1 mean we producing 2 chairs, so 8 multiply with 2, we will get 16 rupees. So mean 16 rupees will be coming into my pocket. For example, if we producing 2 product, then we will write 8x1 plus let's suppose the price of a table is 10 rupees. When we sell out a table in the market, let's suppose the price is 10. So 8x1, which is the price, 8 is the price of chair, and plus 10 into x2. 10 is the price when we sell out a table. So 10x2. So this will be our objective function. As we know that when we producing something, we have some limited resources. Nothing is unlimited. Mean we have some specific labor hours. We have 2 laborers, 3 laborers. We have some specific machine, 2 machines, 3 machine. Okay. We have the raw material. Okay. If we producing table and chair, how much amount of wood we have, because we need to produce table and chair from wood and steel. So how many kg of steel we have? So basically this thing represent, this SI represent the right hand side, the resources. For example, I have 10 kg of steel. So mean because steel We will use steel both in table and we will use steel both in chair. So I mean when you sum it, xi represent chair plus xj represent table. So both will be less than or equal to, let's suppose we have 80 kg of um, steel. So in this case, we can't exceed, we can produce less than 80 kg. We can utilize steel less than 80 kg, but we will never ever exceed this capacity because when 80 kg of steel finished, so we have no more steel. So how we can produce chairs and product table? Similarly, this is the demand constraint, or you can consider because we need to fulfill the demand. If we not fulfill the demand, so as we already discussed, there are two types of transportation problem. Where the supply and demand is equal, this is good for equilibrium economic condition. If it is not equal, so the situation will not be certain, it will be an uncertain situation. So this is just a simple network diagram of transportation problem. We have two types of nodes. This one represent plant's origin where we produce. For example, 1, this is 2, this is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the demands and these are our supplies. We have 3 plants. The capacity at this plant is 5,000. The capacity at this plant is 6,000 and the capacity of this plant is 2,500. So we can't exceed because this is the capacity of my plant. I can't exceed. I can't produce more than 5,000. Yes, I can produce less than 5,000. I will not violate the constraint, but I will not be able because this is my capacity. Okay, this is demand. So I mean this is Boston, and in Boston the demand of my product is 6,000. So we need to fulfill this. So from where we can fulfill this demand, they can order from this location, they can order from this location, they can order from this location. This one is the Chicago. In the Chicago, the demand of my product is 4,000. Okay, so mean in order to fulfill this demand, we can order from one Cleveland, Bedford, and from York. Okay, this is St. Louis. At St. Louis, the demand of my product is 2,000. Similarly, at Lexington, the demand of my product is 1,500. Now, these demands, note, they can fulfill their demand from different sources. But now we need to find out this is transportation cost per unit. So if we transport 1 unit from Cleveland to Boston, the price will be $3. If we transport 1 unit from Cleveland to Chicago, the cost will be 2. So now we need to find out a feasible way, a feasible solution that from which location we need to order in order to minimize my transportation cost. So manually it will be very, very difficult. It will be a very problematic situation. So I mean, for this purpose, we need to construct an LP model which will be very helpful, which will be very easy, and it will give you the most feasible solution. So now I'm just going to discuss a very simple example of the transportation problem. Now in this example, the Executive Furniture Corporation is faced with the transportation problem shown in below figure. So you can also see the figure. In this figure, we have 3 supply or our capacity nodes. One is Des Moines, which is source 1. This one, the other one is Evansville, which is source 2. The other one is Fort Lauderdale, source 3. So my capacity at this, I can produce, let's suppose, 100 unit. This is my capacity. I can't exceed from this capacity. In source 2, my capacity is 300, and at source 3 my capacity is 300, and these nodes are the destination, these are the demands. So destination, how much demand? We have 300 demand of my product. Now we can order from, they can order from this, they can order from this, they can order from this, but there is some specific cost. If you transport 1 unit from source 1 to destination 1, the cost will be 5. You can see it from the figure. If you transport 1 unit from source 1 to destination 2, the cost will be 4. And if you want to transport 1 unit from source 1 to destination 3, the cost will be 3. Similarly, for all other supply sources and for all other destinations, the specific costs are mentioned with the dollar sign. So the company would like to minimize the transportation cost while meeting the demand at each destination and not exceeding the supply at each source. In formulating this linear program, there are supply constraints and there are demand constraints. As I already discussed, these are the supply sources and these are the demand sources. But there are some specific constraints. And which are the constraints? At source 1, this is my constraint. I will not be able to produce more than 100. At this source, I will not be able to produce 300. At third source, I will not be able to produce 300. Similarly, we have some demand constraints. In order for an equilibrium economic position, we need to fulfill this demand. You can order from this, you can order from this, you can order from this, but this is the constraint you need to fulfill. Okay, so the decision to make are the number of units to ship on each route. So there is one decision variable for each arc in the network. So now the question arises, manually it will be very difficult. Okay, how many units? You can easily do it, but you will not be able to find a feasible solution. So for this purpose, we need to formulate a linear programming model. So you can see xij, which is equal to number of units shipped from source I. So basically this source I represent what? This source I represent the supply location, your plant where you producing. And destination j, these are the destination. We have j is equal to 1, j is equal to 2, j is equal to 3 destination. And similarly for I is equal to 1, the sources, for I is equal to 2 and for I is equal to 3. These are different our production units and these are the location for the demand. So now this is cost. So normally we want to minimize the cost. So now the question arises, how you will minimize the cost? You need to formulate an LP model, linear programming model. And in LP model, the most important thing to construct an objective function. So you can see from this objective function, how we will construct this? We will construct is this from this one. Basically, x1 represent this, x11 represent the unit which we are transporting from 1 to 1 and the cost of this is 5. You can see 5. So 5 x11. Similarly, if you want to transport 1 unit from this source to this destination, so it will be x12. X12, you can see it from this x12 and the cost of this, the transportation cost is 4. So 4 into x12. Similarly, if you want to transport 1 unit from this to this, the cost will be 3 and it will be 13. So 3x13. Similarly, for all other sources and destination, we will construct our LP model. For this one, 8x2 1, 4x2 2, 3 is the cost from source 2 to destination 3. Similarly for all other, when we include all the cost of all sources to specific destination, so our objective function is completed. Now we have some specific constraints. So how you will formulate constraint in LP model? So as I already mentioned, this is my capacity. This is my plant 1 or source 1. The capacity is this one. And I will be able to supply my product from this to this, from this to this, from this to this. So basically I just write this in a mathematical linear programming equation. x1 to 1 plus x1 to 2 plus x1 to 3 is less than or equal to. Why I am writing less than or equal to? Because I transport less than 100. So I mean there is no compulsion. Okay, I am just transporting 50 units. I am not violating the constraint, but I will be violating the constraint if I exceed this. If I exceed 100, then in this case I am just violating the constraints. So that is why it will be less than or equal to. So equal to mean I can transport 100 units. I'm not violating. But if I increase 101, in this case, I'm just violating the constraints. Similarly, for this source, the constraint will be x2 1. Okay, we can transport from this to this to 1, x2 2, and x2 3. And the capacity at this source, I can only produce 300 units. So I will not be able to exceed this 300, but I can produce less than 300. Let's suppose my capacity 10, but I am producing 5, so I'm not violating. Okay, I'm not violating. But if I will not be able to produce 10, so that is why we just write 300. Similarly, for the source 3, the constraint will be this one. Okay, coming toward the demand constraint. At destination 1, the demand is 300, and from where you will fulfill this demand. So we can order from this, we can order from this, we can order from this. We need to fulfill this 300. So how you will, you need to transport some from this, you need to order some from this, you need to order some from this. It will be equal to 100. So that is why for type 1 transportation problem, demand will be equal to supply. In order to get an equilibrium economic position, we will write this demand is equal to, we will use the sign is equal to. Similarly for this is equal to, similarly for this is equal to. Now this is the first task. We easily construct from the network diagram an LP model. But now the question is how we will solve this? How we will know what will be the total cost of transportation? Which will be the most feasible? How many unit I need to transport from 1 to destination 1, from 2 to destination 1? Now this is the difficult question. But if you understand, and I'm hopeful that you understand, because we have already covered 4 to 5 chapters on the optimization model. So we already solve while using manually we use graphical approach. So in this problem it will be difficult. Why it will be difficult? Because you have more than two variables, so it will be a 3 or 4 dimensional plane. It will be difficult to construct a graphical approach, to use a graphical approach. So what should you need to do? You will be able to use some simplex method, you will be able to use some simplex tabulo method, but once again you will spend ages to solve those by manually. So for this purpose we will use some specific software. And in the class, in the optimization models, I already uh, discussed with you how to use specific software. We already explore Lindo, we already solved different example in Lindo. So there are two specific software, one is Lindo and Lingo, and you can also use MATLAB, but MATLAB will be a little bit difficult. Similarly, in the Lindo program, we can also use Lingo. So now I'm just going to use the Lingo software in order to feed this LP model to find out what will be the cost, how many units we need to transport from 1 to destination 1, from 2 to destination 2, from 3 to destination 3, or from 3 to destination 1. So you need to open Lingo. This is your Lingo. Actually this is the latest version, Lingo 18. You can easily download it. It's a free software, so I mean you not need a specific license for this. And if you want to use Lindo, Lingo or Lindo are same, but when you feed the code it's a little bit different from the Lingo. So I mean I'm just going to construct this example, uh, our LP model in the Lingo software. So I already uh, write this in the Lingo. How we write this? 5 is the cost. 5 is the cost from transporting one unit from source 1 to 1 plus, and this is minimization problem. Why minimization problem? Because the data exists in the cost version. So mean we need to minimize the cost. If it was related to the profit, then we need to maximize the profit. We have some specific constraint, so you not need to be confused. This is the same problem. I have just feed this in the Lingo. So the most important thing in Lingo, you need to understand how to feed. You need to write minimum is equal to 5 into x11 plus 4 into x12 plus 3 into x13 plus 8x into x21 plus 4 into x22 plus 3 into, so mean in objective function we will only incur the cost. from a specific source to a specific destination. At the end, you need to remember, you need to put a semicolon subject to some constraints. So I have already discussed these constraints in great detail. We have three supply constraints and we have three demand constraints. So mean x11, in this constraint x11 show from one source to destination 1, x12 from source 1 to destination 2, from x13 source 1 to destination 3. Our capacity is 100, so we can only supply 100 units because this is my capacity. Similarly, for the second source, for the third source, and these are the demand constraints. So mean the demand at destination 1 we have a demand of 300, and in order to fulfill this demand we will acquire, we will order from different sources. So in order to fulfill this demand, when you feed this code in the Lingo, then you need to go to the solver. You can see the solver tab. You need to click the solver, then you need to solve. Now solve. So they already solved it for me. The total, you can see the objective value. This is my objective value. So my minimum cost is $3,900. In order to fulfill the demand, in order to transport your material to the end destination, this is the minimum cost, 39,000. Definitely there will be some cost incur while transporting some specific product from a specific source to a specific destination. So we will not be able to reduce it further. This is my minimum cost. Okay. Now you need to understand this. What is this? These are the variable. Variable mean from one source 1 to destination 1, how many unit we need to transport in order to fulfill the demand at destination 1. So the software gave us the solution that you need to transport 100 unit directly from source 1 to destination 1. This is the most feasible, and this show you the reduced cost because your cost will be reduced to zero. Mean there will no extra cost will come on it. So mean this is the minimum cost. Okay. The second variable shows that if you transport from 1 to 2, there will be a cost come. There will be an extra cost, and that cost will be 2. So you not need to transport from 1 to 2. So that is why the software, the linear programming give us the solution that you not need to transport any single unit from 1 to 2. Similarly, they the software also suggesting us they don't supply from 1 to destination 3. In this case the cost is still 2. So we need to formulate the LP problem to minimize our cost. So why we will incur this cost? We not need to transport from 1 to 3. Similarly, from x2 to 1, it show that you not need to transport any single unit from source 1 to destination 1. The cost is 1 in this case. So we will rely on the zero cost. We want to transport with a zero cost. Definitely there will be some transportation, some oil cost, some in labor cost, some it will definitely incur, but we are looking for the minimum cost. Similarly, from x2 to 2, it shows, the LP model shows that you need to supply 200 unit from source 2 to destination 2. And what is our capacity at plant 2? 300. So definitely they show us that you need to transport 100 unit from 2 to 3. In this case our cost is 0. Similarly, from 3 to 1, we need to supply 200 units. In this case there will be no extra cost. Our reduced cost will be equal to 0. Similarly, from x3 to 2, it gives us, the LP model shows you not need to supply any single unit from source 3 to destination 2 because in this case our cost is 1. So we need to avoid this. Similarly, from x3 to 3, we need to supply 100 unit from source 3 to destination 3. In this case, this is our cost. These are the slack or surplus. So we manually, I have already show you the slacks. What is slack? What is surplus variable? So definitely when we produce something, maybe some specific resources will be left. So I mean, this is also a cost. If you not utilize some specific thing, if it is left, for example, if you producing table and chair, if some, if you produce 10 chair, this is your capacity, and if you produce 10 table, this is your capacity, but 1 kg of wood and 1 kg of steel is still remaining. So because you already paid for it, you already pay amount for that, so I mean this is also a cost. So basically this is also show you minus 1, 4, 2, 0, because in this case this is showing minus because something will be left. Okay, in the second Lindo solution you can also construct a sensitivity analysis. So what is the sensitivity analysis? We have already finished a chapter before the midterm. Sensitivity analysis, for example, if the price is increased, if the price of a table and chair increase, what will be the impact on the production? If the transportation costs increase, what will be the impact on the profit? What will be the impact on the cost? So in order to solve such like question, such like mean uncertain situation, we need to conduct a sensitivity analysis. So for this purpose you need to activate sensitivity analysis tool in the Lingo software. So for this purpose, you need to click the solver tab. You need to click option. In the option menu, you need to click journal solver. Okay, when this journal solver open, in the cold start solver, you need to click dual. In the warm start solver, you need to click dual. And in the dual computation, you need to click price and range. Then okay. Okay. And you need to go to the range. When you click the range, this window will be appear. So this window showing you what? You remember that the cost from transporting one unit from one source to destination one is 5. This is current cost. In some specific scenario, how much this cost can go up? So this cost can go up 5 plus 2. So I mean this cost can be reached to 7. But if it is in more than 7, it will not be a feasible solution. Your cost will be definitely increase and your profit will be definitely decrease. And allowable decrease, okay, if someone want to transport your product from 1 to 1 free, then it's okay. So I mean that is why it is infinite. You can decrease it to 0. Similarly, this is the cost, this is the actual cost, current cost from destination 1. If you want to sell one unit from destination 1 to destination 2, so this is 4. Allowable increase, you can definitely increase. It will not affect on your LP model. But if you want to decrease, so 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 mean the cost will be reduced to 2. But you will not be able to reduce it further. Otherwise, you will violate the feasible region. Otherwise, you will violate the constraints. Similarly, for this one, this is infinity for x22. The allowable increase is 4 plus 1, it will be 5. So you will not be able to increase more than 5. And you can definitely reduce it. Similarly, for all other, you can similarly do it for this. So I mean this is the cost. This is the price. This is the cost of transporting one unit from one source to another. These are the right hand side. What are the right hand side basically? Right hand side are the constraint, the sources. For example, 2 representing what? This is my source 1. My capacity at source 1 is 100. My capacity at source 1 is 100. This one. My capacity at source 2 is 300. This one. My capacity at source 3 is 300. And my demand at destination 1 is 300. My demand is destination 200. And my demand at destination 3 300. So basically these are those capacity resources which we have. 300, 300, and these are the demand. 300, 200, 200. Allowable increase. Okay, if you want to increase your capacity while using the current resources, so how you can increase? You can increase up to 300. 100 plus 200, you can increase your capacity while using the current parameter. If this is the existing cost, it will be still feasible for you, it will be still profitable for you, so you can increase. Allowable decrease, so allowable decrease means zero. If you producing nothing, so if you producing nothing, so mean it will be zero, mean your capacity will be zero. Similarly for 300, this is my current capacity, right hand side of source 2, you can increase it 400. 300 plus 100, you can increase it up to 400, and allowable decrease once again zero. This one again was in this one, in this specific one, the current capacity is 300, allowable increase infinity, you can increase it 400 to 500, 600, there is no compulsion, there is no constraint on it. If you using the current parameter, it will be still profitable for you. So I mean there is no such like constraint on it, and allowable decrease is zero. Similarly, for the demand, allowable increase, so allowable increase is zero, demand will not be increased. If it is increased, you will not be fulfill the demand. Okay, allowable decrease, okay, if you producing 200, so you can only supply 200, so allowable decrease 300 minus 200, so 300 minus 200 will be 100 unit. Similarly, for the sixth one, which is the destination demand, the destination demand at destination 2, allowable increase which is 0 and allowable decrease which is 100, and similarly for this. So I'm hopeful that you understand the contents of this lecture, and if you still have some problem, then inshallah soon I will arrange an interactive session in which we will discuss these concepts in more detail. Thank you.